Welcome back, you guys, to Project GrrMaro. This is week 2. Thank you so much, you guys, if you watched last week's video. If you haven't, be sure to go check it out. I appreciate all your guys' feedback. Thanks for liking and subscribing. You guys are the best. I do want to mention I got some feedback about our sound quality, and we are working on it. Unfortunately, this video was shot with the same cameras, and we're still working through those issues. We did what we could in editing to bring the bass down and stuff, but if you're using headphones, you might not want to, just in case there's some feedback or whatever. But the next videos should be much better. We're gonna buy some new equipment, and it'll be much clearer, better audio. So please just bear through this one with me. Thank you guys for following along with the project. If there's any comments you guys want to give, any questions you may have, Brett goes through the entire motor and disassembles it. So if you have any questions for him, put them in the comments below, and we'll be sure to get those answered. But yeah, for now, check out this episode.
That is not the proper way to disassemble an engine. We don't care. Right. We're not using any of this stuff over. So, Michelle might sign it and send it to you if you're not a moron. Go right in that we didn't disassemble with the proper tools. We don't care.
Right. Disclaimer.
Yeah. Here's your disclaimer.
So tonight we are actually going to be disassembling the entire motor, and we're going to be checking out everything, making sure it looks pretty good, and if it doesn't, we'll fix it. Should be fine though. The motor really didn't have any major issues.
Well, except smoking, oil consumption, and loud ticking noises from the lifters.
So I'm a race car driver, and a major issue is if it don't work anymore.
It still had oil pressure and ran, yes. So
we have different opinions on working well.
Would it have finished the race? Yes. Would it have won the race? No.
So hopefully we don't find anything too terrible, but yeah, we'll see. I'm learning about all this stuff too, so for those of you that don't know much, you can learn with me, and for those of you that know more, maybe Brett will teach you something. Well, we're to the heads now. Took the valve covers off, and now we're going to take the valve train out.
Now I can tell this has been rebuilt before. The yellow marks have shown that someone has torqued them. That is not a factory item.
Oh, really? Is that for like a forgetful person?
Yeah.
Or someone that's not sure if they put it together right.
Yeah.
So they mark it and
yeah.
I did it.
Now, these head bolts on LS's are torque to yield bolts. That means we can only use them one time.
Yes. I know that because my BMW, I think every single bolt in my car is a torque to yield bolt.
Well, technically speaking, all the LS bolts are the same way.
Okay.
So, we will not be reusing these. So we can just throw these in a box of parts we're not reusing.
Yeah, so for those of you guys that don't know, we actually traded this Camaro straight up for the BRZ, I don't know, sometime last year. Kid really liked the BRZ with the Edelbrock supercharger on it. We were in the market for a Camaro. It was really wild how it worked out. Kind of messaged me on Facebook Marketplace and was like, would you be interested in a Camaro? And I thought somebody was messing with me. Long story short, we both switched, and just title for title, and then he told us that the motor was freshly rebuilt, and he gave me the invoice, and it was from, I don't know, some repair shop on Fremont Street, so didn't have much faith in the build, so another reason why we wanted to pull it apart.
I can see why the smoking was so bad. We have extremely amount of pitting, and extremely bad detonation on this motor. So whoever rebuilt it did not replace the valves in any shape or form. We're going to have some major work here ahead of us. We have a large consumption of oil contaminant to the top of the piston. Almost looks like sludge because of the reversion and oil being pulled back down through the guides. The cylinder walls are still in good shape, but can clearly be seen this was not rebuilt correctly nor tuned correctly.
That's gnarly.
Pretty chunky.
Yeah.
Let's show some people here of the oil consumption on these pistons.
I was wondering where all my oil was going.
Yeah. So,
And there it is.
when you see that car that's going down the road smoking, that would be Michelle.
No.
Look at that. So as you can see here, we know where all the oil from Valdez ended up. For you younger people, that's a sunken oil ship. Okay, so. But that is what the top of the piston should look like without the oil consumption.
Is that like the worst, one of the worser ones you've seen?
I don't know if worser is the correct word for it, but it definitely is up in the upper limits of, yes, of that. So the lifters, because it is a roller style lifter, right here, has to be kept so it rolls exactly on the camshaft. So these little plastic trays keep them from turning, which still gives them the ability to go up and down. So this is GM's way of not using a tie bar, but making a cheap plastic retainer to hold the lifter in place instead of a tie bar. Believe it or not, these lifter trays are the same trays K-Tech uses in their Le Mans engines.
Oh, wow.
So I was taught by Kevin at K-Tech that if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
And it works just fine, so if it's good enough to win Le Mans, it's good enough to get Michelle down the street. So.
Agreed.
I'll agree to that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that
Yeah,
statement.
so we're going to keep from the experts and find out exactly, but lifter problems are a major issue with LSs. So we are going to upgrade to a different style lifter for our new creation. It's a stock bore. So the block was never trued up after it was to be rebuilt. So they didn't rebuild it, they just threw some new rings and bearings in this thing because it's still a stock style size bore. Okay, so 4065 is a stock bore for an LS3. So obviously, however they rebuilt it, they didn't true anything up, they just threw new rings and bearings in this and off it went.
It's going really good. I haven't done anything but label baggies and learned from Brett, so it's been awesome. I'm really clean, well, pretty clean.
Find anything weird or whatever?
Yeah, we found, Brett, tell them what we found. I don't know how to.
This motor has been consuming a large amount of oil, according to the driver. We have determined that and also found some interesting scores and large consumption of oil burnt to the top of the pistons. So we may be having a ring or a valve problem. And by looking at those cylinder heads, I'm going to assume a very bad guide problem.
Yeah, what he said, watch that Brett found, that the, was it crank pulley bolt was
Yes.
like
Hand tight.
barely tightened, so.
Supposed to be what, 220?
20?
Yeah, 220 to 250 foot-pounds of torque.
It was like
So-
20, 30?
It came out with like a little zap.
It was like maybe 10. So.
So yeah, we're gonna take off that OEM oil cooler, and then we're gonna put on our new Mishimoto oil cooler, which is gonna probably work a lot better. Well, actually not probably. It will work a lot better, and also it will look better.
Watch out, Axel. Sorry, bud.
We are going to do the bottom end now, so we'll take it apart. As Brett just showed us the oiling system, that's cool. I'm excited to get our new Mishimoto oil cooler on there. I've worked with Mishimoto for many years, never had an issue. Love their products, they always look great, everything about them. So thanks Mishimoto for putting us in good hands. And yeah, so moving on, we're going to take the rest of the block apart, take the pistons out, obviously the rods, everything, and get it down to bare bones. So then we can start our build.
Okay, but what I can see right there, can you see right down there? Can you see the corner of that cylinder? Where it's light? Can you see that?
Yeah, I see it.
That is called a ball hone. That means they put a piece of metal with some balls on it and scratched the cylinder surface and stuck new rings in it. This is a $2,500 rebuild at best. So you think about it, he got what he paid for.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So they basically took this apart, put new rings and bearings, stuck it right back together, and called it a rebuild.
And then he said, I need to sell my car. And I was like, take it.
I'll take it. All the new manufacturers are using what's called a cracked metal rod. As you can see right there, Michelle, it looks like it's been broken. So what it has done is it is frozen, broken off, bolted back together, and then machined to make us a cap and rod. This is the cheapest piece of crap that GM could come up with. So,
Perfect.
so because the cylinder is probably not round, the shape of the ring has been killed. So we're going to take the ring off, top ring, second ring, see that right there. As you can see on this second ring, the face is completely flattened out and is just worn completely all the way across and is razor sharp. So this ring has been just modified and killed. So due to improper assembly and machining.
So what's the edge supposed to be like?
The edge should still only be about 1/3 of this width.
Oh wow, really?
So it's flattened all the way across. So the shape of this as it wears flattens out.
Okay.
So for a ring that has just been built, there is 100,000 miles worth of wear on a ring that's got about 5,000.
Yeah.
And this cam, the lifters were having some issues. Look at this, see the marks? See that right there?
Yep. It's fine. And that's because.
This was probably from the first time when it had the issue, which caused the rebuild. You can see right here. And they just reused the cam and put new lifters on the old camshaft. Because we checked every lifter and it was rolling correctly.
Right.
So this was obviously all done from the first time of need. As we can see, it's pretty beat up for a roller camshaft. So yeah. So definitely have had some issues on this. And we said the hell with it. We're going to paint it and send it back out.
Already on the outside. Yeah. Issues on the inside.
Like a lot of girls.
Everyone I date. We picked the exact right time to take this apart because the next couple of things we're going to explode.
Well, I'll say that's a first for me.
Yeah.
I never picked the right time to do anything.
Yeah, after I do it, see these marks right here?
Yeah.
See, that's where they ball hold, right? But that shows you the ring is not even touching it. Because the nice little ball, the re-scratch, which is a crosshatch surface, is not touched. So the cylinder wasn't round right there, so the ring never even made contact. And what seals the ring in compression was just blowing on by this.
Okay.
So this was just a...
So do you have to, like, resurface this?
Yes.
Or whatever? Yeah. The
We're
whole
going to make that hole 5/1000ths bigger.
Okay.
So it'll be 1/2 piece of paper on each side. Okay, so we're going to open it up to a 470 bore, true it up with a torque plate, and make this perfectly round within 1/10,000ths of an inch. Fourth decimal place over.
So when you do that, then do you have to change
brand
your
new
piston
ring.
size?
Yes, we're going to do a new piston ring, just a 5/1000ths bigger.
Okay.
So we're only taking in a minimal amount to make it true and round.
Okay.
Yep. And we're going to start off just like a true brand new block.
Okay.
Yeah. But even better than brand new, we're going to CNC the decks. We're going to put our nice fancy logo right here.
Yeah.
And we're going to cut the decks down to make them true and have a full CNC block.
So you like start fresh pretty much.
You want to start fresh from the ground up.
So when you take I don't know, the material out from the cylinder walls, you're not weakening it at all?
Well, you are technically, but we're taking out the thickness of a piece of paper.
Okay, yeah.
So yes, it does take a little bit out of it, but nothing that you're ever going to notice at this point.
And then so when you change the displacement, is that the size of the
The only
cylinder
way to
wall
make
that you're changing?
yes.
Or you're changing
the only way to make a motor bigger is bigger on the bore diameter
Yep.
or the stroke of the crankshaft on how far we move the piston.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
A lot of people think that connecting rod length changes sizes. It just starts the point where the piston moves from.
Okay.
Okay?
That
But
makes
only
sense.
bore and stroke make the motor bigger.
Okay.
Okay?
Got it.
We're going to raise the compression just a little bit. We're going to make the motor hopefully a little bit bigger
Yeah.
and, you know, give it a whole new attitude.
Sweet.
I mean, just if we made this run right, you would think,
It's a rocket ship.
It'd be a rocket ship compared to what you're used to. So. We're also,
We were kind of surprised at how slow it was when we got it.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, it's just really heavy. I'm used to like a little zippy car, you
Yeah.
know? But then
But
the more we drove it,
we're going to block all these holes off, which doesn't allow the oil to drop off, so we have multiple displacement.
Okay.
So we don't want that. We want an aggressive street car. So.
Yes.
Yeah. We're not looking for fuel economy. We're looking for GrrMaro.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect.
He said it.
Yes. You found where it fits. I love it. Well, thanks, Brett. I really appreciate all your help with this. I learned a ton. I'm sure I'll still have way more questions to ask you as we keep going, but yeah, you guys, Brett obviously knows his stuff. If you're in the Henderson area, Las Vegas area, California, anywhere in the surrounding states, call Brett, come by, check out his shop. It's unreal what he does here.
Thanks for watching us, and check us out for the next stage of this build.